Yo, what's up, guys? We're back for another breakdown and predictions video. This week we got UFC Vegas 107. It's going to be headlined by Erin Blanchfield and Maycee Barber. And it's a small card. It's only 11 fights, and one of these fights just got recently put together with Michael Aswell and Bolaji. But I like the main event personally. I feel like it's an intriguing one. It's two of the better girls at 125. And it's an okay card, but I feel like I have a good read on this card. I like this card from a betting perspective, and I think that my predictions are going to go well. I've been doing pretty well on the predictions for UFC, so make sure to share this video with people, put a like on it, hit the like button, put a comment down below, and try to get this video out there to more people because I feel like I'm giving out good information, and hopefully you enjoy this one because I think that I got a good read on quite a few of these fights. And so let's get into it, man. First fight of the night, we got Riani Amanda taking on Elise Ardeline. And both these fighters are fighting for their jobs. You look at Riani Amanda, she's 0-2 in the UFC, and so is Elise. And Amanda also lost on Contender Series as well. But all three of Amanda's losses have been close. Two of them were splits. Ardeline also has one split decision loss, but yeah, the pressure's on for both girls here. And Riani Amanda kind of been a can crusher. She has a putrid record of 3-8 when she's fighting opponents with a winning record. And one of those three wins was at 105. So 2-8 at 115 pounds against girls that have more wins than they do losses. And Ardeline also has a really padded record, but a little bit better. She's 3-5 versus opponents with winning records, but really beating nobody, and neither is Amanda, honestly, except for Jillian DeCourcy. And as far as camps go, Amanda training at Main Street Boxing and Muay Thai, and that gym actually has a lot of really good female fighters training out of there currently, so I think she has the camp advantage. Ardeline, she's training at Fusion XL, which is a good jiu-jitsu gym, but I'm not sure what other female fighters train there. But style-wise, Riani Amanda, fast hands, she likes to pressure, feint, counter, uses in and out movement, tries to time overhand. She'll throw some kicks. Her kicks looks better in her last fights, but her kicks are kind of just really range finders or trying to pin her opponent in so she could use her hands. And she's good at slipping and ripping with overhands, left hooks, and she'll throw punches and bunches on the inside. Her last fight was close, but what gave her issues was the movement of Pooja Tumar. And a fighter who can move in pot shot is going to be able to cause Riani Amanda problems. In this fight, I don't think it's going to be difficult to find Elise Ardeline. And usually most opponents don't want to stand in front of Amanda B. She lets her hands go. She's good there. She doesn't have much power, but she's aggressive and skillful. And her takedown defense is serviceable. In this fight, I do think Ardeline will try to get takedowns or at least clinch her. So it will give Amanda the chance to hit the armbar that she's gotten a few times in her career. But also it could lead to her being grinded out a little bit. But Amanda hasn't really looked to get takedowns in any of her UFC fights. She will trip you against the cage, but she's small for the weight. She's not a wrestler. And predominantly, she's looking to strike out there. Her cardio is pretty good, and I think she's going to have the extra hunger here to save her job, and she's going to come in good shape. She also probably feels she won both of her UFC fights so far, so this fight, she has to make it even clearer or even get the finish. So I expect aggression from Amanda, and Amanda has 4 split decision losses, so even though she's 14-8, she could be 18-4 and have a really impressive record. So she's had some bad luck here, and maybe she can finally get over the hump if she can win this one and put something together. But Elise Ardeline, kind of similar to Riani Amanda on the feet. She wants to pressure and throw down in the pocket, but she relies more on single shots, and she does hit harder than Amanda. And she also likes to mix in the clinch a little bit more, use her size, and she's going to be a bit bigger here. And I think a lot of her game plan is going to be to try to push Amanda against the fence, wear on her, use her size, grind her down. And if she does get takedowns, I think that could be a mistake because it's probably just going to be her fighting off submissions or even potentially getting submitted. But if Amanda is kind of wilting and tired, then Ardeline could feel that, get on top, and kind of win with that. But I do think the line is off. I just don't know how Amanda can have that price tag when both fighters are 0-2 in the UFC and kind of similar. But I just think Amanda's going to be faster and probably a little more aggressive. So I'll say she wins on points. I could even see her getting a submission win also. So leaning towards Riani Amanda in that fight. And the next fight that we got on the card here, this is another one that I like this fight. It's a short notice fight, but I think both these guys are fun fighters to watch. Michael Aswell, really short notice for him here. I think they just put this fight together today, so maybe he's had a couple days notice, but he's a guy that's been fighting for Fury FC. He is 10-1 in Fury. He was an amateur and pro champion in Fury, so he's the man in that promotion. And both of his losses, the one loss in Fury to Yadier Del Valle, and then his loss on Contender Series to Bogdan Grad, they're UFC fighters now, so his losses aren't bad. And his loss to Grad, it was on Contender Series last August, so he got to fight in the Apex, and it was a split decision. It was close. It could have gone his way. And then he bounced back with the win in December. So he does have some decent momentum coming in here. And he was getting ready to fight June 22nd at 145 pounds. He was going to fight Cameron Graves. So hopefully he's in good shape and he doesn't have to worry about that extra 10 pounds. So it could be a good situation for him to be tuned up, sharp, but also not have to deplete himself with the hard weight cut. And he is going to be undersized in here, though. But style-wise, Aswell, pretty basic. He wants to pressure you, stay light on his feet, pepper you with the jabs, 1-2s. He's clean, fast, throws an insane amount of volume. And he doesn't really throw much outside of 1-2s, but he will sometimes flurry with short hooks. And if you try to make it a brawl, he will sit in the pocket and bang it out with you a little bit. But his last fight, he was throwing more kicks early in the fight, but he kind of went away from them. But his leg kicks, his front kicks, his round kicks aren't bad. And defensively, Aswell isn't great. He does have a super good chin, so he could take damage, but he's not the hardest to hit. His head movement isn't the best. And he's smart, though, and he will sometimes let fighters get their energy out, kind of hitting him on the arms and stay calm and wait for his moment to respond when his opponents start to slow down, and then he puts the pace on him. And on the feet, though, you just have to kind of make it a brawl to give Aswell issues. He has 5 knockout wins, but a lot of those come from breaking fighters with volume, and he isn't a heavy hitter. Fighters who take his power, can kind of throw back on him in numbers, can get the better of Aswell. And Aswell is also a lot better at fighting going forward than he is going backwards. In this fight, I think that both these guys could be throwing calf kicks. Oki didn't throw a lot of leg kicks versus Timmy Kwamba, which surprised me. So hopefully he learned from that and throws leg kicks in this one. And I feel like that could be beneficial for him along with the pressure that he brings. But Aswell, I don't think he's going to get grappled here or wrestle. He has good takedown defense. He gets back up pretty quick when you take him down. And he will try to push guys against the fence, but fighting a bigger guy like Oki, I don't really see him really doing that here. His cardio is top-notch, and he was scheduled to fight 3 weeks ago, so hopefully he brings that cardio into this matchup. But his opponent, Bolaji Oki, he's a technical striker. He wants to control the center of the octagon and counter primarily in most of his fights. He stands right in front of opponents, loaded, ready to counter. He'll throw jabs, straight punches out there. Nice left hook to the body or the head, and good calf kicks. And he will be patient, but when he backs fighters up, he will throw good knees. He comes forward and will kind of hold his hands low, fake feint, try to bait guys, and then come with hard counters. And he is really scary. He definitely has power, but his hands and kicks, they haven't really produced many finishes because he doesn't throw at a high clip. But when he can get you with knees, it seems like his knees are pretty vicious. He's got multiple knee finishes. Aswell has a great chin, so I think testing the body Aswell will be the way Oki could find a finish if he does. But Defensively, Oki has good reactions. He'll pull counter guys, and he's good at leaning back to get away from offense and immediately returning with his own. And this fight's going to be interesting because he's fighting a guy with a really long jab, so I think he has to pressure him and be aggressive with his presence, even if he's not throwing a ton, and that could help win him the fight. Keeping Aswell on the back foot, and I think Oki could land more and make Aswell's volume less effective with pressure because Aswell is going to have to respect the size and power coming back at him. But Oki, I don't see him really trying to grapple here. If he does, that will be something that maybe will throw Aswell off, but his last fight he got guillotined, and he's not really a great wrestler even defensively, so I'm not sure if he's going to come with that wrinkle here, but he has great cardio and he's a good striker, and I like the over in this fight. I think that Oki was super aggressive his last fight on the feet. He was going for takedowns, being really reckless, and it costed him, and I think this fight he's going to be more patient and composed, and on top of that, Aswell is durable. Aswell doesn't have any submission wins, so even if Oki does go the wrestling route, probably not a high chance of either guy getting a sub, and neither fighter has been knocked out. Oki hasn't been knocked out either, but personally, I do think the line's a little wide. Aswell is not much worse than Timmy Kwamba, and Oki went to split decision with Kwamba just last year, but Aswell is coming in on short notice. He's moving up in weight, so I get why he's a decent dog on top of the matchup. He does have the experience of fighting the Apex already. He was going to fight 3 weeks from now. He's durable. He throws a ton of volume. So I think the fight might be closer than the odds makers say unless Oki just blasts Aswell out of there and becomes the first to do that. But picking him, betting him, I kind of feel like is a force. So I'm going to say Oki be a decision as the prediction in that fight. And continue it along, we got Andreas Gustafsson versus Trevin Giles in the next one. And this fight's going to be crazy. I mean, Trevin Giles stepping up, replacing Jeremiah Wells, and he's going to be welcoming Andreas Gustafsson to the UFC. And he's taking a huge risk because this fight is on very short notice. He's lost 3 fights in a row, so his job could be on the line here at Giles. And Giles has been fighting some super hard competition, though, so it's hard to say he should be cut, but this is a fight he can't really afford to lose. And Giles, he's 7-7 in the UFC, so he has more UFC fights than Gustafsson has total fights, but Andreas Gustafsson, I don't think is the type of fighter to be intimidated by that, and he's coming off a win on the Contender Series. He's been a super fun fighter to watch. He just goes out there and gets into a brawl. And he's on a 3-fight winning streak, 34 years old. So if he's going to get it done, he's going to get it done now. And Gustafsson, he's kind of a throwback fighter, man. He has a Greco-Roman wrestling background, and he wants to live in the clinch, dirty box you, wear you out, make you quit, throw those knees and elbows on you, get you out of there. He isn't a good striker, but he has power. He throws wild, and he'll explode with these long combinations, and he's just dangerous. And he's super hittable when he's looking to close the distance, though. Zero head movement, wild shots, just leaving him right there for counters. But he makes it work. And if you can defend his clinch work and stay calm, then start to chip away, or you have that power to just one-punch Gustafsson, then hey. But he's extremely durable. He has great conditioning. He isn't really someone that's going to hold you down. He's more like one of those guys where if he takes you down, you get back up, and he'll use ground and pound as you're standing up and then take you down again. But he just tries to make you quit out there, and then he's got a guy that does have some quit in him in Trevin Giles, but you also have to acknowledge that Giles is super sharp defensive fighter with nice boxing. He has fast feet. He has a really good jab. I don't really think he's as fast at 170 as he was at 205 or 185, but he still has good speed. And really his game is throwing 1-2s. He doesn't really kick much, and he's not the greatest going backwards. He may be able to time one counter left cross or a jab as you enter, but he isn't someone that's gonna catch you coming in with a one punch and knock you out. And sometimes he could be a little awkward with his defense going backwards. But his grappling game is underrated. He's not an easy fighter to take down, especially if you shoot in on his legs. Sometimes you can stall him out in the clinch, but I think that's going to be one of the main battles in this fight. And Giles, if he could control the clinch, maybe get on top, I could see him pulling the upset here. But I just can't trust him, honestly, especially on short notice. Giles has a shot, skills to expose Gustafsson, but I just think Giles gets tired, and with the short notice aspect and the wild man that Gustafsson is, I'll say a second round stoppage win for Andreas Gustafsson in that fight. And moving it along, we got Jordan Leavitt. He's taking on Kurt Holobaugh in this next fight. And first fight for Leavitt in a long time. He hasn't fought in quite a while. So good to see him back in the octagon. And Kurt Holobaugh, old vet, 38 years old. He's on his way out, but he's trying to cash a few paychecks, get some more wins in the UFC. And before his last fight, when he was fighting Alexander Hernandez, he had top 15 aspirations, but he lost that fight. It was close, it was competitive, but he was in the wrong end of the scorecards, and now he's kind of having to regroup. But a win over Leavitt. Leavitt is a recognizable name. He's a guy that is winning there with fighters like Paddy Pimblett. So people know who he is, and if Kurt Holobaugh can beat him, he's going to be kind of back in the mix for a top 30-ish position. And for Leavitt, I think it's a fight that the UFC is giving him because it's someone that's serviceable. It's a solid UFC vet, but it's a good matchup for Leavitt with the fact that Kurt Holobaugh does not have good takedown defense, and Jordan Leavitt is a good grappler. So honestly, I think Leavitt is underrated. I think he's going to do the business here on the feet. It is a little bit scary, especially in the boxing range, but I think at kicking range, Leavitt is going to be a lot more active. He's going to be awkward and throwing those kicks that he does throw, the side kicks and things like that. And I think he's underrated on the inside in the clinch. He has good knees, he has good elbows, and obviously he has the wrestling and grappling to back that up. And unless he just death gasses and Kurt Holobaugh is able to take advantage of that and get him out of there late, I think Leavitt is going to have the skills to beat Kurt Holobaugh across the board, frustrate him, and have a good night in there. And I could see a submission win or a decision. So Jordan Leavitt, that's the prediction for me in that matchup. The next fight that we got on the card, I believe this is the headliner of the prelims, Allan Nascimento versus Jafel Filho. And both these guys have been very inactive. They haven't fought in over a year. I think Nascimento hasn't fought in over 2 years. And I think Nascimento is the better grappler. That's what gives me some trepidation to go with Jafel Filho in this fight, because if they do tangle on the ground for a significant portion of the fight, which both of them do tend to like to do, I think Nascimento's guard on bottom, the leg attacks and things like that, he could potentially sweep, get on top, and kind of be the better positional grappler in comparison to Filho. But Filho, I think, has a significant speed advantage and power advantage on the feet. Nascimento has good calf kicks, but outside of just slipping and ripping with one punch, he doesn't have power. He doesn't really offer too much in the stand-up, whereas Jafel Filho, his striking is a little awkward. He's bouncing in and out. He's using a lot of energy, and you could intercept him with big shots. You could hit leg kicks on him, but when he backs you up and he could explode on you with these body head combinations, he has crazy power and he can knock you out. He's kind of like a shitty version of Davy Grant on the feet, I would say, a little bit. Davy is way better, has way more weapons, but just in the way that he's kind of like looping these wild punches, body head, and when he backs you up, and he could look kind of awkward and then catch you type of thing. But obviously Filho, when he gets on top, he's a beast. He could take your back and finish you if he gets into these dominant positions. But I think his grappling is a little overrated just because he's been fighting non-grapplers and looking dominant. With Allan Nascimento, I'm not sure it would go down like that. But Allan, I just don't think he's going to have the volume on the feet, the offense on the feet. The guy is super durable, and that's another thing that I think is in his column because Filho doesn't have a lot of experience in longer fights. He usually finishes guys, and Allan Nascimento has never been finished, and I don't think it's likely that Filho finishes him here. So Filho is going to have to show that he can go some minutes, and he's a flyweight. I mean, I think he's going to be able to do it because I don't think Nascimento is really going to be throwing a lot of volume or a lot at him. So I think that Filho could probably defend the takedowns that Allan does throw, maybe use the front headlock position to get on top after the takedown attempts to Nascimento and then get back up or see how you feel in top position type of thing. And then on the feet, kind of control the striking. So Jafel Filho is going to be my prediction in that one, but I do think that's a competitive matchup there. And the next fight that we got on here is Reese taking on Dusko Todorovic. And, man, kamikaze fight. These two guys, I'm going to go with Dusko. I like the number. Plus 500 I saw in the knockout price. I think that's a decent play as well. Reese just got killed like 3 months ago. He got knocked out viciously. And I do think that Reese he's the better athlete. He's bigger. I mean, I get why he's the favorite, everything like that. And if Dusko goes out there and gets killed, then I'll accept my fate with that. But Reese has not fought anywhere close to the level of competition that Dusko has fought. I think skill-wise, Todorovic is a little better, especially in the grappling. Reese, he's one of these guys where he's submitted a lot of people off his back because he just sends it. I mean, the guy treats an MMA fight like it's a jiu-jitsu match. When he gets on his back, he's not worried about you hitting him at all, and he's just jumping on these submissions, and he's been able to catch guys because of that, but then you've seen him get ground and pounded into dust or slam knocked out because of it too. So it's like kind of all or nothing type of thing. And Dusko Todorovic has a good grappling background. If he gets on top of Reese, I think he can navigate and knock him out with ground and pound. And on the feet, I think Dusko could, move around, use that awkward striking that he does have, maybe time a takedown, get on top, and get the finish that way. So I think he has some paths at that price tag. And if he goes out there and Reese kicks him in the body and finishes him or blitzes him and takes him out, would I be that surprised? Not really, but I just think that Todorovic is the value side here. Coin flip fight, 2 glass cannons, and I think Todorovic has the experience. He's taking a little bit more requisite time off. Reese coming off a bad knockout loss, that's also factoring in for me. So Dusko is going to be my prediction in that fight. And the next matchup that we got on the card, Ketlen Vieira versus Macy Chiasson. Not super interested in this one from a betting perspective, honestly. I just feel like probably going to be a close decision, so don't want my money on it with where the money line is at, but I just think Ketlen is better than Macy, and I see people giving love to the Macy side this week, but I think Ketlen is looking better than ever. I thought she looked good in the panty fight. I mean, there was 0 resistance in that one, and she just took her down and easily won, so hard to get a lot out of that one, but I thought she looked more athletic, and her takedowns looked better. And then the Kayla fight, I thought she looked decent enough. I mean, obviously she lost, but didn't get destroyed or anything like that, and she won a round. And you look at Macy, she has been looking good recently. She got that finish over Mayra Buenasilva. But I feel like in the stand-up, Ketlen is just slightly better. She's more technical. I think she is a little bit faster and cleaner than she used to be. And her defense is a little bit better. And I also feel like at range, even though Macy's longer, Ketlen could use her kicks and just be more fluid. and more effective. So it's going to force Macy to come to Ketlen, and I think at that point, Ketlen could hit takedowns, could land counters, and I don't think Macy is going to be effective with the wrestling like she's been in other fights. Macy, to me, kind of can be a weight bully at times, and it's hard to say weight bully because there's only a limited amount of weight classes, but she's a lot bigger than most fighters she's in there with that can muscle them around. With Ketlen, I don't think she's going to be able to do that. I think Ketlen can control the clinch with the judo, can win the wrestling exchanges, and slightly better in the stand-up, but I'm not bullish on any of that. That's why I think that could go either way, because if Ketlen gets tired and Macy just makes it a dogfight, maybe she could edge it out, but I am leaning towards Ketlen there in that one. And Dustin Jacoby versus Bruno Lopes, the next fight we get on the card. Good fight here. Dustin Jacoby is trying to get back into relevancy. At one point, he was right there, man. I mean, had a couple fights that didn't go his way where you could have arguably said he would have won, like the fight with Blanchfield, fight with Khalil Roundtree, and maybe his career could be a little bit different. But he got back in the win column with a knockout his last fight over Vitor Petrino, and now he's looking to knock out 2 Brazilians in a row and maybe get another chance to crack into the rankings. And Bruno Lopes, former LFA champion, a guy that went on the Contender Series, lost, had to come back at the win, and then he won in his UFC debut as well. So he is not super experienced, but he's fought, a number of times now under the UFC promotion, and he won a championship in LFA as well. So the guy isn't a slouch at all, but I just think that this is a big step up for him. I got to go with Jacoby here. On the feet, I'm not a fan of Bruno Lopes' striking. I think he's very slow, plotty. His just defense when he's coming forward is not good. I think he is going to struggle, and I just see Jacoby lighting him up and probably knocking him out with the patented 1-2 that he throws. And Lopes, kind of sloppy grappling. He's one of the guys where he's athletic enough to mix it up and he has good cardio, good durability, he'll press you, but that's the type of style that Jacoby's used to beating all the time, and Jacoby has the movement, the stand-up, and I think that he could really piece up Bruno Lopes and knock him out here. We've seen Lopes get knocked out before by Brenson Ribeiro, and Jacoby, one thing about him that's a little worrisome is he does have a questionable chin, and if Bruno could maybe touch him, hurt him, it could change the fight, or maybe Bruno could knock him out, but I just think Jacoby's way better on the feet. I think Bruno is also vulnerable, and Jacoby's proven many times now in the UFC that he could catch you and put you to sleep with one shot, and I think it's going to happen again. So Dustin Jacoby is the prediction for me in that matchup. And the next one we got on the card, Ramiz Brahimaj taking on Billy Goff. Another one that I'm not really too interested in this one. I feel like the line, it's hard to read this fight because Ramiz Brahimaj, I think that he's obviously been first rounder bust. He's a little breakable, and Billy Goff is one of those guys that he's going to go out there and break you if you have a little bit of a heart issue, and that's why I do think Billy Goff's going to win. But Brahimaj striking looked good in his last fight, man, and we don't really know much about this guy. He hasn't had a lot of cage time. I feel like he could be underrated. His striking versus Mickey Gall, like I said, he landed a nice head kick. He knocked him out with one punch. He was coming forward. He looked durable. And even though Billy Goff is a good boxer, he's someone that's entertaining, he gets hit a lot. And he's gotten almost stopped in the first round a number of times. He could be a slow starter. Brahimaj has a chance early, but I just think, I can't go away from Billy Goff here in this one. I feel like Brahimaj is going to break maybe the body shot, something, and Billy Goff will get him out of there after a little bit of a hard start. But I think Billy Goff has really good striking in his own right, good boxing, and once he gets going, I think he could bossed the fight there. So Billy Goff for me. And I just don't think Brahimaj is going to get the grappling going versus a guy like Goff. But co-main event, Mateusz Gamrot taking on Ludovic Klein. And, man, Klein is a really popular underdog this week, and I get it. You go back, you watch that fight with Thiago Moises, Southpaw versus Southpaw, American top team. And Ludovic Klein shut down his takedowns easily. He dominated him. He looked really good. But, man, I'm just not ready to close that Gamrot chapter, man. Maybe I'm stubborn a little bit. But this guy's wrestling is so good, man. And I feel like Ludovic Klein's grappling is overrated, or not overrated, but unproven. He got submitted by Nate Landwehr. He's gotten submitted on the regional scene. And even though he has really good takedown defense, sharp striking, I feel like he hasn't fought anyone that has chain wrestled him, thrown a lot of takedown attempts out there at him like Gamrot's going to do. And Gamrot is hungry, man. He's been asking for a fight, begging for a fight. I think he's been out there training in the dark with his striking, with his boxing. And you could even see he was getting better versus Dan Hooker. He dropped Hooker. So I feel like the stand-up is going to be closer than people anticipate. And I think that Gamrot can mix in some takedowns like always. And I kind of see you almost forgot to perform some Gamrot here. But, he could be washed. Maybe he's going to come in here and look bad. That's what a lot of people are saying. But I disagree. I'm going to go with Gamrot. And I'll say he wins via decision and kind of keeps his spot there in the rankings. But finally, we got the main event. We got Erin Blanchfield. She's going to be taking on Maycee Barber. And interesting fight. There's a little heat on this fight. Both these girls have been talking some shit, and happy to see that. Get some spice on this one. But, man, I feel like the line's off. I don't get why Erin is such a favorite. I think Erin, and I was a victim of this too. I kind of overrated her myself. But even though people are saying she's going to easily take down JJ, she's 4 for 33 in her last 37 takedowns. And I just feel like on the feet, this is a good matchup for Macy. You look at Maycee Barber, her striking has gotten way better in her last couple fights. Like when she fought Amanda Hebos, I thought her stand-up looked really good. And Erin Blanchfield is going to have to come to Maycee Barber. For Macy, I would holster the kicks. I mean, she has really nice kicks. Maybe surprise with a head kick or something, but don't make kicks a big part of your game plan. Use the hands, move around, pull Erin into your power shots, throw punches and bunches on the inside. And I feel like Macy's going to be way faster, way cleaner on the feet than Erin. Erin has okay striking, but she's not athletic. She doesn't have a lot of power. And she's a plotter. I feel like Macy can move around her, stick and move, throw heat, discourage Erin from wanting to engage. And on top of that, Erin could maybe get a takedown or two, but I think Macy's going to get up. And I think Macy could defend a lot better than people give her credit. I mean, Andrea Lee surprised her and got a bunch of takedowns, but I don't think she's going to get surprised and get bullied here in this fight. If she does, it's going to be a huge stock drop for me for Macy, and, I'll be disappointed. But I don't think that Erin is just going to go out here and clinch her up and take her down, put her against the fence, and put her on her back. Like, I think it's going to be a lot easier said than done, and I think Macy is going to be strong in the clinch. I think Macy could even get a takedown, and I think she's going to surprise some people with her own wrestling skills here. So I like Macy in this fight. The only thing I'm worried about is the cardio aspect, the 5 rounds, because Macy could potentially get tired. Erin is going to cage push her and try to press the pace on her, but I think Macy's a good pick here. I think she's she's in a good spot. She has the physicality edge. She's facing a clinch merchant where I think she can out-clinch her, and on the feet, she should have a significant advantage. She's never really shown a ton of signs of getting tired, and I think that if she gets taken down, She has the grappling to get up, and ultimately I think she has the takedown defense to keep it standing for most of the fight. So I kind of I lean towards Macy here in the main event. And so there you have it, guys. It's a full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 107. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something. If you agree, disagree with my picks, put it down in the comments. If you want access to my bets, want access to breakdowns and predictions for different promotions, go to patreon.com/InPredictionGuru. And yeah, man, for the most confident pick of the week, I guess I would say my most confident pick on this card is Billy Goff. And the parlay of the week that I'll give is Billy Goff and Dustin Jacoby. So there you have it, guys. And I'll be back soon breaking down another fight card. Peace out. See you guys later.